All right, first up, let's get you the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. Hectic campaigning continues for the third phase of India's parliamentary election to be held on the 7th of May. Prime Minister Narendra Modi held back-to-back rallies on Friday, while Congress leader Rahul Gandhi filed his nomination from Raebareli, which seat has been vacated by his mother Sonia Gandhi, who has since been elected to the upper chamber of the country's legislature. Syed Absarul Hassan reports.
The campaigning is in full swing for the remaining phases of general elections in India. Leaders of ruling party and opposition were busy holding rallies and roadshows, while some were busy filing nominations. In a surprising twist, Rahul Gandhi, Congress leader and member of parliament from Wayanad, has filed nomination from Raebareli seat in Uttar Pradesh. This seat was represented by his mother Sonia Gandhi for a long time, and the constituency has been a stronghold for the Gandhi family for generations. The constituency will go to polls in the fifth phase of general elections on May 20th. While from Amethi constituency, Congress has fielded Gandhi family loyalist Kishori Lal Sharma. Rahul Gandhi lost parliamentary election in 2019 from Amethi in last general elections to BJP stalwart Smriti Irani. BJP Kerala State President and NDA candidate in Wayanad K. Surendran criticized Rahul Gandhi's move to contest in Raebareli.
He said in Wayanad that Wayanad is my family and my second home is Wayanad. Now he selected Raebareli. This time Wayanad and Raebareli he will lose. Definitely Rahul Gandhi will lose in Wayanad and he will not win in Raebareli also.
While on the campaign trail in West Bengal, India's Prime Minister and senior BJP leader Narendra Modi took a jab at the biggest leader of the Congress party.
मैंने पहले ही बता दिया था कि शाहजादे वायनाड में हारने वाले हैं और हार के डर से जैसे ही वायनाड में मतदान समाप्त होगा वो दूसरी सीट खोजने लग जाएंगे और अब दूसरी सीट पर भी उनके सारे चेले चपाटे कह रहे थे अमेठी आएंगे, लेकिन अमेठी से भी इतने डर गए वहां से भागकर अब रायबरेली में खोज रहे हैं रास्ता.
Senior BJP leader and Union Home Minister Amit Shah is holding marathon campaigning in Maharashtra and Karnataka. He held election rallies in Sangli and Ratnagiri in Maharashtra. Later, addressing a rally in Chikkodi Lok Sabha constituency in Karnataka, Amit Shah slammed Rahul Gandhi for filing nomination from Raebareli and said BJP's Dinesh Pratap Singh will win with a huge margin. Syed Absarul Hassan for DD India.
Now, people vote to fulfill both their aspirations and their responsibility. But people in West Bengal's Malda, where two parliamentary seats, Uttar and Dakshin, will go to the polls on 7th May, have been waiting to give their aspirations wings for decades. So far, it's only remained a flight of fancy. But the issue is gaining traction among Malda's voters in this election. Gautam Roy has more.
Stretching behind me towards the horizon is not an F1 track. It's the runway of the defunct Malda airport. It should have been operating flights, but at this time in the evening, it's being used by people for all kinds of purposes except for flying in and flying out of Malda.
Be it morning or evening, the entire Malda airport becomes an exercise and recreation zone. The West Bengal city's residents descend on the runway to take walks, jog, zip around on bikes and even take driving lessons. Ice cream cart owners and vendors of other eatables also set up shop within the derelict airport's premises to draw in customers.
हम लोग सुना था यहाँ पे एयरपोर्ट होगा, एक्वार हुआ, लैंड एक्वार हुआ कर बाद अब सुन रहे हैं यहाँ पे नहीं होगा. कोई कोई बोल रहा है होगा, यहाँ पे होगा, तो क्या होगा मालूम नहीं है हम लोग को।
Malda is the top producer of mangoes in West Bengal, India's top mango producing state. But the absence of an operational airport hampers the export of this perishable commodity.
यहाँ का जो इंटरनेशनली जो बाहर आम एक्सपोर्ट करने के लिए एयरपोर्ट फैसिलिटी जरूरी है, लेकिन हमारा पे एयरपोर्ट है लेकिन प्लेन चलता नहीं, प्लेन उड़ता नहीं।
Uttar and Dakshin Malda go to polls on the 7th of May in the third phase of the national elections along with Murshidabad and Jangipur. The region's abandoned airport has become one of the reasons for a slugfest between political rivals with different perspectives on the way forward.
प्रॉपर एयरपोर्ट बनाने के लिए थोड़ा स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के थोड़ा और ज़्यादा काम करने की ज़रूरत है। स्टेट के साथ सेंट्रल के साथ उनका कम्युनिकेशन अच्छा होना चाहिए, लेकिन ऐसे होता नहीं। सेंट्रल के साथ हमारे स्टेट का जो सीएम है, आप देख सकते हैं कि वो बातचीत ज़्यादा करते नहीं, वो अपने काम के पीछे रहता है।
ये एयरपोर्ट बंद करना होगा, नहीं तो नॉर्थ ईस्ट का जैसा आजू बाजू में तो बहुत बड़ा बिल्डिंग बन गया, क्लियरेंस नहीं है।
Malda Airport remains in limbo while political adversaries slug it out. India had 74 operational domestic and international airports in 2014. This number went up to 149 in 2024. Will Malda ever be added to this tally?
Malda Airport was operational when it began in 1962 after the acquisition of 144 acres of land. Flights did take off and land here to and from Kolkata and Balurghat. But over the years, it fell into disuse, and although efforts have been made to get it going again, but so far they've been unsuccessful. And Malda residents now want, in time of elections, that this is something that should be prioritized and there should be flights landing and taking off here again. With camera person Uttam Singh, Gautam Roy, Dakshin Malda for DD India.
With less than a week to go for the elections, campaigning has reached a feverish pitch in Gujarat. Meghna Dev towards the social media war rooms of the BJP and the Congress.
Your social media accounts might be carrying a lot of political content this election season. With political communication evolving from door-to-door campaigns to micro-targeting voters, new media has become an inseparable part of politics, political parties and campaigning.
While the star campaigners battle it out on the field through public meetings, rallies and massive road shows, there are warriors who are sitting behind the screens and fighting the election battle on social media in the virtual world.
Digital war rooms operate at party regional headquarters where professionals make reels, YouTube shorts, design graphics, memes and brainstorm content to post. Gujarat Congress spokesperson Hiren Banker highlights how reels and shorts are getting more views. Not only that, a team of Special 26 is sending out targeted messages to the party workers so that they can propagate it to the voters.
जो आज लोग लाखों लोग कांग्रेस पक्ष को पूरी होप के साथ देख रहे हैं कि कांग्रेस पक्ष आएगी और हमारी बात करेगी, अन्याय काल खत्म होगा। तो एक स्ट्रेटेजी रूम में पूरी डिस्कशन होती है। उसके बाद हमने मीडिया रूम भी बनाया है, यहाँ पर कोऑर्डिनेशन का रूम बनाया है, कंट्रोल रूम बनाया है और आखिर में वॉर रूम बनाया है।
So I'm taking you inside and showing you how this entire system works. On the walls you can see where different zones and different regions have been projected. For example, if you see the north zone, it has Banaskantha, Patan, Mehsana, Sabarkantha, such districts, and also the assembly constituencies which people here are targeting and sending out messages. Obviously, data is of a lot of importance here when we are talking about targeted approach to reach out to the voters ahead of the polling date.
The BJP is also leaving no stone unturned. Manan Patel, who handles social media for the Gujarat BJP, highlights how people want to watch short videos. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi's videos brings them massive user engagement.
People want to see Modi ji. That's the universal truth. When we are creating reels about Modi ji's work, Modi ji's guarantee, Modi ji's sankalp, those things are going viral, and that's the thing that people want to see.
It's also about the hashtag war. Against BJP's Modi ki guarantee, Congress has come up with Nyay Patra for the polls. Over the years, political parties have managed to understand the viewer's mindset and hence have been able to mine data to improve online engagement and reach out to the voters.
Likes and retweets and views on social media are the parameters of how much support people are garnering all across ages and different platforms. With camera person Lakshman Rajput, this is Meghna Dev for DD India from Ahmedabad.
Now, heat wave has disrupted life in the state of Maharashtra, where 11 constituencies will go to the polls on May 7th in the third phase of India's parliamentary election. Yogit Sheetal reports.
Heat wave is not a new phenomenon for Marathwada, Konkan and Western Maharashtra. But what makes difference this time is the exceptionally high temperature in polling season. Surprisingly, insufferable heat doesn't seem to have impacted the political campaigns. Not only leaders and party workers, but also the voters, specifically the first-time voters, appear frenzy for polls and refuse to give up before the extreme heat waves. Meanwhile, local administration have gone the extra mile to ensure that they could beat the heat.
In Kolhapur district, we are having 2 parliamentary constituencies, 47 Kolhapur and 48 Hatkanangle. And in these 2 parliamentary constituencies, in whole district, we are having 3,368 polling stations. Considering the situation of heat wave, we are providing at all polling stations cold drinking water to all the voters and polling parties. We will be providing medical kit, ORS at each polling station.
The IMD has also issued various directions to the people to protect themselves in the scorching heat.
Despite the heat, the campaigning is in full swing in all the 11 constituencies of Maharashtra, which is going to poll on 7th of May. But it remains to be seen whether the exceptionally high temperature make any impact on the voting pattern. With my colleague Kapil Maske, this is Yogesh Kumar Sheetal reporting from Maharashtra for DD India.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. Hectic talks on in Egypt for a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. Russia says it is ready for serious Ukraine peace proposals based on existing realities. And a look at how some parts of the world are scrambling to cope with extreme weather events.
E-waste is growing phenomenally in India, and I think it's time that we reconsidered our consumption patterns.
We need to formalize repairs, we need to formalize refurbishments, and by law also they are permitted.
It expands their repair network. The consumer gets benefit because it's cheaper and it's accessible, and the guy is able to make a living.
Government policies and in fact the road engineering policy says the surface road should have a better product. Adding the crumb rubber to the bitumen overcome with its inherent weaknesses.
I felt the urge to try to change something, especially multi-layered plastics can't be recycled. It's a huge burden on our environment.
The massive crackdown against protesters has been questioned across continents, particularly when the US has been preachy across the world on questions of democracy, freedom, and the right to protest.
How the social media and as well as mainstream media was censored during COVID and the elections and even during Ukraine time.
The UK is not speaking about the US, but if the same thing would have happened in India, there would have been a big hologun, a big drama and a big chatter even in the UK universities, like what is India doing?
Joining us today on Champions Speak is none other than legendary goalkeeper P.R. Sujesh.
also known as the Great Wall of Indian hockey.
We are just polishing all the areas now. We are just focusing on the best part, the strong areas first, and we are working hard on that.
Penalty shootouts often decide crucial matches in hockey. What goes through your mind during those moments?
Penalty shootout, it's a give and take policy. Then automatically that pressure comes to me.
With the evolving tactics and strategies in modern hockey, how do you adapt your game to stay ahead of the competition?
We can find out our positive and negativity from there. So we do have our homework.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. In some more news related to elections, joining me are two of my colleagues who are joining us from Mainpuri in Uttar Pradesh and Murshidabad in West Bengal. To you first, Amritpal Singh in Uttar Pradesh. Talk to us a bit, if you will, about the Mainpuri constituency. It's been a stronghold of the Samajwadi Party since 1996, but the big guns of the BJP are keen to put up a good fight, isn't it? UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath's roadshow in Mainpuri featured bulldozers which have come to represent good law and order, is it not?
That's right. It is a stronghold of the Samajwadi Party with the party patriarch Mulayam Singh Yadav repeatedly winning from here. In fact, if you remember in 2014 when the Modi wave was there, all his brothers had lost, but he was the only person who won from here and Azamgarh as well. And then he later left the seat for his grandson Tej Pratap Singh Yadav. He won in 2019 from here the last time around, but due to his demise, a bypoll took place in 2022 where his daughter-in-law Dimple Yadav won the election by a record margin against the BJP's candidate, and she is a candidate again. So it is a stronghold. Their village, Sefai, is in this parliamentary constituency. She is the candidate here. So it is a stronghold of the Samajwadi Party, but the BJP has gained sizable ground here. In certain assembly constituencies here. In fact, the candidate of the BJP, Jaipveer Singh Thakur, is a member of the assembly here. So he is he's one of the MLAs from this parliamentary constituency. So clearly, the BJP, what it's trying to do through that roadshow that you speak about, where bulldozers were displayed, is trying to showcase the achievements both of the Modi government at the center about development, etc., and those of the Yogi government, say for example the improvement in law and order situation, or attacking the Samajwadi Party of appeasement of the minorities and using this this plank against the Samajwadi Party. Now, when I spoke with the BJP candidate from Mainpuri, he says, I asked him that she had won from Dimple Yadav had won from the constituency with a record margin of 6.8 lakh votes. So he said, that was due to the sympathy wave in wake of Mulayam Singh Yadav's demise, and because he was a tall leader of the Yadav community, and that's why they voted. And it's not going to be the same here. Dimple, on the other hand, says that their support base is intact. So both the BJP and the Samajwadi Party are, trying, are putting in their best efforts to get this seat through.
Right, Amrit, do stay on. I'll come back to you if time permits. Also, let me acknowledge my colleague Aisha Khanam, who is joining us from Bengaluru in Karnataka. To you first, Gautam, who you are in Murshidabad. Now, when I spoke to you last, you were in Malda, now you're in Murshidabad. Give us a flavor of the campaigning in Murshidabad and the other seats that will go to the polls in the third phase on the 7th of May.
Well, Ramesh, thanks. The campaigning in this area is going pretty strong. We've seen Prime Minister Modi not campaigning for these 4 seats per se, but when he was in Bolpur, it kind of covers this region as well. So the Prime Minister killed 2 birds with a stone, and really he was all out against the TMC, primarily highlighting all the issues that is
perceivably something that the people have been feeling as well ever since the TMC returned to power in 2021. It was a landslide win back then in the assembly elections, but since then there are a lot of issues that have cropped up pertaining to corruption and what people also call syndicate. A lot of corruption allegations, topmost being the latest setback from the High Court in the teacher recruitment scam, where the High Court said that 25,000 jobs will have to be returned and people will have to sort of give them up, and there was allegations of massive corruption in that, and some evidence has also been found. The matter, of course, is sub judice right now, so we can't really talk too much about it. So those were the kind of issues that the Prime Minister highlighted, and we've seen in this region the TMC also going hammer and tongs in terms of its campaign. We've had Abhijit Banerjee coming here 2 days ago. Before that, 2 days ago, Mamata Banerjee was here, and she was primarily talking about how people should not vote for the BJP and for the Congress. The Congress is in alliance with the left this time around, and that is playing out in Murshidabad because Mohammad Sareeb, CPM Politburo member, is a candidate here, a joint candidate for the India Alliance. But she's saying don't vote for them because that will just divide the community. This is a Muslim-dominated area. 60% plus is the minority community here, so it's a majority. And she's saying keep united and do not divide the votes. Although then she also raises the bogey of CAA, of NRC, of Uniform Civil Code as well, and saying that the BJP, if it comes to power over here, or if it wins these seats in the Lok Sabha elections, it will bring in those legal changes that will make it difficult for the minority community.
Indeed. From Bengal, let me now take you down south to Karnataka, where my colleague Aisha Khanam is standing by. Aisha, how's the campaign coming along where you are? What, according to you, are the key contests to watch out for in the state?
Well, this is the second phase of polling in Karnataka, which will take place on May 7th, Ramesh. And this is very crucial phase of polling because in this phase, the North Karnataka will vote on 14 seats. Remember, in 14 seats on 26th April, there was polling held across the southern part of Karnataka. Now, North Karnataka is very crucial because here the hot seat is Gulbarga, which is the northmost part of the state, and this seat is witnessing a very interesting battle because it is from here that AICC President Mallikarjun Kharge's son-in-law is in the battle. But the political analysts say that this battle is actually a proxy war between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and AICC President Mallikarjun Kharge, because a lot is at stake for Mallikarjun Kharge from Gulbarga, which is his home turf, and he has to he's campaigning hard to see to that he wins, the Congress wins from here, because this is the seat which will decide the future of the leadership of Congress party across the country. So Mallikarjun Kharge's son-in-law, who is contesting the polls for the first time, but he is not a political novice. He's been Mallikarjun Kharge's strategist for a long time. But for Mallikarjun Kharge, remember, he was defeated in 2019 elections when Prime Minister Narendra Modi had challenged him on the floor of the Parliament Lok Sabha, and he told him that he will be defeated in his home turf, and that is what happened in 2019. Umesh Jadhav defeated him. So therefore, this time it is once again Umesh Jadhav from BJP contesting against Mallikarjun Kharge's son-in-law. So a lot is at stake. This is a hot seat and star constituency, and all depends on how Congress fights this seat to a victory. Else, the Congress leadership will be questioned because if Mallikarjun Kharge cannot manage to win a seat in his home turf, then it will be a big question on his leadership across the country.
There's indeed a lot at stake, as my colleague Aisha is pointing out, and stay tuned to DD India for a comprehensive coverage of the elections. On that note, may I thank all my colleagues, Aisha Khanam in Bengaluru, Gautam Roy in Murshidabad, and Amritpal Singh in Mainpuri. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time. In some more election-related news, Rajgarh constituency in Madhya Pradesh is going for the polls in the third phase of election. The majority population of Rajgarh is dependent on agriculture. Now, they face a double whammy of desertification and climate change, devastating the farming patterns of the region. It's a report by my colleague Akshay Dongre on the prominent electoral issues in the region and voters' expectations from political parties.
Rajgarh is among 9 constituencies of Madhya Pradesh going for polls in the third phase of general elections. The majority population of Rajgarh is dependent on agriculture. However, the constituency that borders the state of Rajasthan has been facing a double whammy of desertification and climate change, devastating the farming patterns in the region. Animesh Dangi, a 21-year-old farmer from Rajgarh, is selling what is left of his crops at the farmers market. He says that climate change is destroying several crops due to dry spells and incessant rainfalls.
सोयाबीन की खेती बारिश में होती है, तो बारिश में कहीं बार ज़्यादा पानी गिर जाता है, कहीं बार कम पानी गिरता है, तो कई बार फसल खराब हो जाती है, गल जाती है, इससे किसानों की जो वार्षिक आय रहती है उस पर बहुत ज़्यादा इफेक्टिव रहता है। कई बार वो जो फसल खराब हो जाती है तो कर्ज माफ नहीं कर पाते।
Imrat Bai of Nadanpur village of Rajgarh waits with her relatives in scorching heat to sell her crops.
बरसात नहीं हो, कभी बरसात ज्यादा हो जा, हाँ, बांझ हो जा, नारोई हो रही हो, फिर कोई फसल ही नहीं हो, काई वो बे, काई खा किसान, अब गेहूं चना बहुत पानी नहीं है.
Due to lack of water, the quality of crops is also diminishing, leading to huge losses to the farmers. To provide respite to the farmers, the government has built large-scale dams to provide adequate water to the farmers. Government of the state launched Mohanpura Dam on Nevaj River and Kondalia Dam on Kali Sindh River in 2017 and 2018. These projects can irrigate up to 290,000 hectares of land. Another dam project was sanctioned in the region in 2023. The region where dam water has reached has transformed the lives of farmers. The changes in water levels has also benefited dairy farmers, leading to more output.
डैम बनने की वजह से जमीन में पानी का लेवल बढ़ा और पानी का लेवल बढ़ने से फसलें अच्छी हो रही है.
The issue of farmers have once again taken the center stage. While the Congress party is claiming credit for sanctioning the dam projects, the BJP says that the work on dams started and completed during their tenure. And while the dams have helped hundreds of thousands of farmers, a lot more is needed to meet the emerging challenges to the farmers, including desertification of the land and climate change. General elections have reached the hinterlands of Madhya Pradesh, and once again farmers' issues have taken a center stage in the politics of the state. Global warming and desertification of the state have been devastating the lives of farmers in Madhya Pradesh. And while construction of dams and canals have brought much needed respite to the lives of farmers, it has also led to credit wars between the political parties ahead of the general elections. From Rajgarh, Madhya Pradesh, with colleague Yogesh Sharma and camera person Ramakant Sharma, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
As Gadag district of Karnataka prepares for the polls on 7th May, fear and panic have gripped a few villages in the interior after a leopard was sighted in the vicinity. Despite attempts by the Forest Department, the animal has evaded any attempt to capture him and remained elusive. Now, as the news of sighting and attacks on livestock spread, the villagers have stopped venturing out of their homes, casting a serious doubt on whether they will gather courage to come out and vote on the 7th of May.
Majestic as they look, these hillocks overlooking rural expanse in Gadag district of southern Indian state of Karnataka have also become the natural habitat of 2 leopards in recent months. The leopard sightings by the locals have created panic, and fear has gripped residents of at least 4 villages in the area. The latest sighting was on Tuesday, 30th of April. The dusty lanes of Kuntoji village now wear a deserted look while the day is still young. People here say that they have stopped venturing out of homes as the feline has attacked, and they have also increased the vigil.
The leopard sighting has created considerable terror, and we are afraid to venture out of the homes. Going to polls will also be difficult in such situation.
It was sighted some days back. The forest department is not making full efforts to catch the leopards. More efforts is needed.
However, the forest department disagrees. The officials say that the leopard is a nocturnal animal, so any fear of it attacking the livestock or the human beings in the day are minimal. Besides, they claim that they have put in 5 capture cages across the area to catch the animal. We managed to reach one such trap deep inside the forest area. This, however, was not functioning properly. The Forest Department has also promised to increase vigil and deploy more staff on the polling day so that the villagers can go and exercise their franchise.
In the night, the leopard remains active. We have patrolling team and staff. A cage has been kept to catch the leopard. The team is always present.
The sighting in Kuntoji and 3 villages in the vicinity of hillocks is a constant headache for the Forest Department. In the past 4 months, there have been instances of the animal attacking farmers in the field and also the domestic animals. Senior citizens and children don't venture out unless absolutely necessary.
The Forest Department of the area has placed 5 such cages throughout the affected area to capture the leopard. They have also deployed drones and fired in the air to scare away the animal. But so far, the leopard has been elusive, outsmarting everyone and keeping himself away from such traps. He has avoided the lure of meat and water kept inside these cages. But with the date of May 7th approaching fast, time is running out for everyone. If the leopard is captured, the villagers of the affected areas will feel secure enough to come out and exercise their franchise. With camera person Mukut Sharma, Ravi Dhiman, DD India in Gadag district of Karnataka.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. A discussion on India slamming Pakistan for aiding and abetting terrorists. The US campus protests spread to more countries including France, Canada and Australia. And China launches a historic mission to retrieve samples from the far side of the moon.
Team Poll Pulse has reached Ahmedabad. Gujarat is BJP's bastion, home turf of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. All eyes are on whether the BJP can have a hat-trick in 2024.
It will be much better when अगर हमें जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटी अहमदाबाद में ही मिल जाए.
हम लेडीज़ है तो हम कभी भी रात को 12 बजे भी अगर जॉब के हिसाब से घर जाए तो हमको लगना चाहिए कि नहीं हम पूरे सेफ कंट्री में रह रहे हैं.
Join us as we track the pulse of Indian democracy.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. India has again slammed Pakistan for aiding and abetting terrorism. Speaking at the United Nations General Assembly session on culture of peace, India's ambassador Ruchira Kamboj said that Pakistan harbors the most dubious track record on all aspects. The Indian statement came after Pakistan's UN envoy's remarks against India.
India lashed out at Pakistan over remarks at the United Nations. It said Pakistan harbors the most dubious track record on all aspects.
Used to set aside the remarks from a certain delegation, which not only lack decorum, but also detract from our collective efforts due to their destructive and pernicious nature. We would strongly encourage that delegation to align with the essential principles of respect and diplomacy that must always guide our discussions. Or is that too much to ask of a country that harbors a most dubious track record on all aspects in itself?
Ruchira Kamboj, India's permanent representative to the United Nations, said that terrorism militates against the teachings of all religions.
Of peace, terrorism stands in direct opposition to the culture of peace and the core teachings of all religions, which advocate compassion, understanding, and coexistence. It sows discord, breeds hostility, and undermines the universal values of respect and harmony that underpin cultural and religious traditions worldwide.
Ambassador Kamboj went on to say that even amid challenging times, India's focus remains steadfast on constructive dialogue. It was not the first time India has called Pakistan's bluff on the world stage. In December 2022, India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said that hosting Osama bin Laden and attacking a neighboring parliament cannot serve as credentials to sermonize before the UN. In February 2022, India said that the world had witnessed the horrors of the 2008 Mumbai terror attack, the 2016 Pathankot terror attack, and the 2019 Pulwama terrorist attack. An Indian diplomat said at the time that we all know from where the perpetrators of these attacks came from. This epicenter of terrorism nurtures terrorist entities with links to more than 150 UN-designated entities and individuals, and its leaders often extol terrorists as martyrs. In August 2021, Minister Jaishankar spoke at a UN briefing on threats to international peace and security caused by terrorist acts. He said that what is true of COVID is true of terrorism. No one is safe until all of us are safe. But some countries undermine our collective resolve. When we see state hospitality being extended to those with blood on their hands, we must call out the double-speak. The late Indian Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj made a memorable intervention in September 2017 when she said that India and Pakistan became free within hours of each other. Why is it that India today is a recognized IT superpower in the world and Pakistan is recognized only as a preeminent export factory for terror? Swaraj said that India established scientific and technical institutions which are the pride of the world. But she asked, what has Pakistan offered to the world and indeed to its own people apart from terrorism? India produced scholars, doctors, engineers. What have you produced? You have produced terrorists, she had said. India was not alone in condemning Pakistan. Earlier this year, Iran employed missiles and drones to demolish 2 strongholds of the Jaish al-Adl terror group in southwestern Pakistan. In a blunt message to Pakistan, US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton said in 2011 that Islamabad cannot keep snakes in its own backyard and expect them only to bite its neighbors. Eventually, Clinton said, those snakes are going to turn on whoever has them in their backyard. India has maintained that in its short history, Pakistan is a geography synonymous with terror. As an Indian diplomat told the UN, the quest for a land of pure has actually produced a land of pure terror. That Pakistan is now Terrorististan, with a flourishing industry producing and exporting global terrorism. Bureau Report, DD India.
Mr. Atul Aneja joins us from the New Delhi suburb of Gurugram. Mr. Aneja is the editor of India Narrative, a news website. Mr. Aneja, welcome to DD India News Up. First up, how do you view India's rejoinder to Pakistan at the UN?
Well, the rejoinder had to come, Ramesh, and it was a strong rejoinder, though I think we were a little bit too polite this time. The language was so polished and so dignified that I'm not sure whether it would make that kind of impact in Pakistan, but perhaps we were not just looking at Pakistan, but other constituencies. But here was the contrast. Symbolic reply from the Pakistani representative, Munir Akram, which criticized India on everything possible, including the Washington Post report we're aware of regarding so-called extrajudicial killings, to Ram Mandir, etc., etc. So this was the contrast between India's position, which is trying to project itself as a more progressive and forward-looking country, and this has been a consistent pattern, as you can see in the report which was compiled just before you asked me the question. And here is the other track, which is deeply into terror, etc. So I think the reply was dignified, polished, and it addressed more constituencies than just Pakistan.
Indeed. Mr. Aneja, India mooted what is known as a comprehensive convention on international terrorism way back in 1996, a full 5 years before the 2001 terror attacks in the US. But it hangs fire to this day because we are told UN member states can't seem to agree on the definition of terrorism. What is terrorism and who is a terrorist? Now, why is the world quibbling over semantics after all these decades?
It's difficult to gauge, to be honest, Ramesh, as to why there has been no consensus on something as heinous as terrorism. But I suppose people and countries are looking through a political prism at the issue of terrorism. I don't want to name the countries, but they have their vested interests that there is no UN sort of convention on terrorism, which would force them to take certain steps domestically within their countries and sort of eliminate these as instruments of state policy, these terrorists, I mean. So I think that's one of the reasons why it's happening. But there's also, Ramesh, excuse me, there's also a lesson here that if the world community is unable to take action against terrorism, then should one be looking at alternatives, that if you cannot have a consensus on that, can we have another approach, a more regional approach, through other organizations which India is a member? Should we try and pass it through the G20? Because we can't wait, Ramesh, to counter terrorism. If the UN is not playing ball, then I'm sorry, we should exercise other options as well.
And that gives me a perfect segue into my last question to you, Mr. Aneja. What can India do on its own or together with like-minded countries to defang the terror network or apparatus in Pakistan?
I think like-minded countries, Ramesh, is important. And those who are suffering from terrorism. We need to have a database, for example. The SCO, for example, has one in Uzbekistan. So you need to share intelligence. You need to have counter-terror exercises with like-minded countries and protocols to make intervention wherever they are required. So I think these are some of the options which one can think of. Intelligence sharing is definitely a very, very important element in it, and then we collectively take action wherever it is suitable and where it's required in a national interest.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Mr. Aneja, pleasure as always to talk to you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Right, and moving on, in some other news, Britain's governing Conservative Party is suffering heavy losses as local election results pour in. It puts pressure on Prime Minister Rishi Sunak ahead of a UK parliamentary election. Oli Barrett reports from London.
Well, there's no doubt these are a very, very difficult set of results indeed for the governing Conservative Party and its leader, Rishi Sunak. The Blackpool South by-election for the parliamentary seat saw a huge swing away from the Conservatives to the Labour Party. Labour leader Keir Starmer says that shows that the Prime Minister should call a general election and allow the country to, in his words, move on towards change. There's no sense that the Prime Minister has any intention of doing that in the imminent future. A lot of council seats, local authority seats across the country have swung towards Labour as well, in what the Labour Party will tell you shows that heading towards the general election, that it is the party that is on course to take back power in Westminster. The Conservatives will say that there are reasons to be optimistic. They will point to the mayoral race in Tees Valley, for example, which has been held on to by the incumbent mayor there, Ben Houchen. The Conservatives say that that shows that actually the party can continue to win votes in important parts of the country when we get to the general election. There are a number of disgruntled Conservative MPs, though, who would like to change their leader ahead of that next general election, whenever it ends up being at some point this year. To do that, though, they would have to trigger a leadership campaign, and it's not clear at this point that that is going to happen. If it does happen, it would probably happen at some point next week. The Prime Minister will continue to try and hang on to the leadership of his party as much as possible. He believes that he can change the polling, he can gather some of the ground that's been lost to the opposition Labour Party ahead of the general election, focusing on issues to do with the economy and immigration. But these results in the local elections that we've seen Thursday into Friday here in the UK just show how difficult a task that will be for Rishi Sunak and his Conservative Party. Oli Barrett in London reporting for DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. Defending champion Aryna Sabalenka will take on top seed Iga Swiatek in the women's singles final of the Madrid Open.
Massive crackdown against protesters has been questioned across continents, particularly when the US has been preachy across the world on questions of democracy, freedom, and the right to protest.
How
the social media and as well as mainstream media was censored during COVID and the elections and even during Ukraine time.
The UK is not speaking about the US, but if the same thing would have happened in India, there would have been a big polygon, a big drama and a big chatter even in the UK universities, like what is India doing?
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. To West Asia now, hectic talks are on in Egypt for a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. Egyptian media claims that truce talks are making headway. Meanwhile, Turkey has halted all trade with Israel after its military operations inside Gaza. Israel responded by accusing Turkey of breaking an agreement and President Recep Tayyip Erdogan of behaving like a dictator. Raghav Kumar Jha reports.
Truce in Gaza conflict are making progress, with Egypt government intensifying contacts with all concerned parties. As per Egyptian media sources, a Hamas delegation is set to visit Egypt soon for further ceasefire talks. In a phone call with Egyptian intelligence chief Abbas Kamal, Hamas leader Ismail Hania appreciated Egypt's role and expressed Hamas's positive spirit in studying the ceasefire proposal. Mediators said the truce deal includes a 40-day ceasefire and an exchange of Hamas-held hostages for Palestinian prisoners in Israel. Meanwhile, Turkey has suspended all trade with Israel.
Beginning from yesterday, the trade halt against Israel, including import and export, will continue until a permanent ceasefire in Gaza is secured, as well as unhindered humanitarian aid flow to the region.
Israel's foreign minister Israel Katz criticized Turkish President Erdogan's move, saying it breaks international trade agreements and was how, according to him, a dictator behaves. Israel Katz said he instructed the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to work to create alternatives for trade with Turkey, focusing on local production and imports from other countries. Raghav Kumar Jha reporting for DD India.
Now, Hamas says that it is still reviewing the latest ceasefire and hostage release proposals, calling Israel's Prime Minister the obstructionist in negotiations. A senior official from the group is accusing Benjamin Netanyahu of trying to thwart any possibility of concluding an agreement by insisting that he will conduct a military operation in Rafah with or without a deal. Sarah Coates has more from Tel Aviv.
Israeli authorities have announced the death of yet another Israeli hostage, a 49-year-old man who is believed to have been killed on October 7 in Kibbutz Be'eri, with his body then taken into Gaza. Now, what this is really doing is creating a greater sense of urgency within the Israeli public to pressure the government to do a deal now and get it done to bring the remaining hostages home. Now, a recent poll that's just been published shows that 54% of the Israeli public believe that a deal to bring these people home is far more important than any military action. But in saying this, the region is really waiting on a decision from Hamas to this latest ceasefire and also hostage release proposal, with that answer expected potentially in the coming hours, with reports that Hamas will send a delegation to Cairo. Well, overnight, the Israeli War Cabinet met to discuss the possibility that Hamas may actually reject this deal and also talk about a timeline for this Rafah operation, which Israel says will go ahead with or without a deal, despite the United States, Israel's closest ally, being in firm opposition to it, with US Secretary of State Antony Blinken saying that he still hasn't seen a clear or credible plan as to how Israel expects to get these more than 1.3 million internally displaced Palestinians out of harm's way when this operation is launched. Reporting from Tel Aviv, Sarah Coates for DD India.
From one conflict to another, Russia says it is ready to consider serious proposals to settle the Ukraine conflict based on existing realities and Moscow's security concerns. Russia's foreign ministry spokesperson told a press briefing that Ukraine must pledge to remain militarily neutral in the future. The conditions were identical to ones that Ukraine has several times rejected in the past. Meanwhile, the Kremlin has called British Foreign Secretary David Cameron's statement that Ukraine could use British weapons against targets inside Russia if it wanted to a direct and dangerous escalation of tensions around the conflict. Cameron promised £3 billion of annual military aid to Ukraine for as long as it takes on Thursday, adding that London had no objection to its weapons being used inside Russia. Russia has claimed its troops have captured 547 square kilometers of territory in Ukraine this year. Russia's Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said on Friday that Ukrainian forces were retreating all along the front line and it is establishing observation posts on the Kuril Islands, a territory that Japan claims as its own. The world is experiencing intense weather conditions lately. Heat waves, floods and hailstorms have all wreaked havoc globally. It's a report on how the world is coping with adverse weather conditions. Amish Mahajan reports.
From blistering heat waves to devastating floods wreaking havoc, the world finds itself in the grip of relentless climate chaos. In India, as temperatures soar, citizens brace themselves for a sweltering summer ahead. The mercury continues to rise, with strong heat waves causing disruptions across several parts of the country.
Despite having 3 fans, we are barely surviving in this summer heat. The temperatures have increased so much that it is hard to stay indoors.
As the summer heat intensifies, temperatures soar to record-breaking highs in Bangladesh. Over 1 million Rohingyas living in a refugee camp in southeastern Bangladesh are suffering a brutal heat wave with temperatures reaching up to 42 degrees Celsius.
This heat is unbearable, especially in our tarp-made homes. During the daytime, it has been difficult to stay inside as the tarp soaks in the heat.
In Europe, overnight thunderstorms and heavy rainfall have led to flooded streets and basements in southwestern Germany. Emergency services and residents are grappling with the aftermath of the severe weather conditions.
It started raining at 6 p.m. 6:45 I drove in here with a car. 7:30 was game over. Normally it disappears just as quickly as it comes, but that wasn't the case this time.
Weeks after a record-breaking storm, the United Arab Emirates experienced rainfall on Thursday across various areas. The National Center of Meteorology said unstable weather would affect parts of the country between Thursday and Friday. Meanwhile, in Brazil's southernmost state of Rio, heavy rains have claimed the lives of at least 29 people. The state government has declared a state of public calamity to address the dire situation.
Federal government will be 100% available to the state of Rio Grande do Sul, to the people of Rio Grande do Sul, so that we can respond with human material, with work, with efficiency and with the resource that I know will be necessary to repair the damage, because first and foremost we have to save lives.
As extreme weather events become more frequent and intense due to rising global temperatures, the world faces a daunting challenge in adapting to and mitigating the impacts of climate change. With Bureau Inputs, Amish Mahajan's report for DD India.
Chaos and arrests continue across U.S. universities where student-led pro-Palestinian protests have been happening. Police and protesters faced off at the University of California, Los Angeles after riot police dismantled a protest camp which was attacked by counter-demonstrators. More than 200 protesters have been arrested so far at UCLA. At Portland State University, police officers in riot gear arrested dozens of protesters who tried to retake a library which served as a protest encampment.
Time to leave! You're trespassing! Time to leave!
I'm not resisting.
Demonstrations have also spread to the University of Washington in Seattle. The protesters are demanding that the university cut ties with Israel. Several universities, including Columbia, have called the police to contain on-campus protests and restore order. With an aim to retrieve samples from the South Pole Aitken Basin on the far side of the moon, China has launched an uncrewed spacecraft on Friday. The Long March 5, China's largest rocket, blasted off from Wenchang Space Launch Center on the southern island of Hainan with the more than 8 metric ton Chang'e 6 probe. The ambitious mission marks another milestone in China's lunar and space exploration programs.
So magnificent, and now the cow is clear. The onboard computer, the pitch over, change direction.
And in some sports news, defending champion Aryna Sabalenka rallied from a set down to edge out 4th seed Elena Rybakina in the semi-finals of the Madrid Open. She has set up a rematch of last year's final with Iga Swiatek. Rybakina looked on course for an easy victory after taking the first set for the loss of just 1 game. But Sabalenka shifted the momentum by breaking the Kazakh's serve and then holding her own to force a decider. In the thrilling third set, the two-time Grand Slam winner prevailed to reach her 3rd final. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India News Up. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download it now. And let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.